Virgo Ascendant in the Navamsa. So, as you know, Navamsa is what we become as we get older, how we will be in relationships and marriage. I would also say that it always kind of works alongside your um, natal chart anyway, really. There are elements of that will always be there, but you're probably more aware of it as you get older. So a Virgo ascendant in the Navamsha will be somebody who basically likes to have their finger on the pulse. They want to know kind of like how everything is organized. They want to have a plan for everything, a schedule. And they very much like want to know what's going on, because and they are defined by their career as well. So they are really organized people, and they kind of like are like that in the relationship as well. So their second house, and also just got to just say as well, because obviously Virgo is the natural sixth sign of the zodiac. So these people are practical, analytical, intelligent, and very service oriented. So these are the people who could possibly have their own very sort of like specific charities that they they help out, and yeah, so they are really extremely kind of like service oriented as well, and they're because they're practical. These are the friends that the couple that you can always rely on. So if something goes wrong, like your boiler is not working, you have no hot water, they will literally be there for you. You can move in with them until things get sorted. So yes, they are very, very much very kind like that. So the resources, they kind of like when they get married, they have a good way of thinking about money, because they think, it's nice to actually have, I've had like a promotion, let's have the friends over, let's do a dinner party, let's involve others as well in our good fortune, if you like. So they will literally, and the whole family environment is sweet, and there's a lot of respect for everybody. They have really good values, and they are literally very diplomatic about those kind of things as well. Um, they could have almighty arguments because their third house is ruled by Mars, and ordinarily it's quite good if you have like a slight malefic thing going on in your third house, because you want to put effort into your relationship, you want to fight for your relationship, your spouse and everything. So ordinarily that'd be really good. The only thing is, obviously it's Scorpio, and Mars and Mercury don't get on, so sometimes the arguments can be almighty arguments, and things from the past could come up. So yeah, you got to be careful with that. So, but the good thing is they can kind of like passionately argue things out. And, sometimes, I think people are a little bit frightened, as long as everybody has their say and not one person is shouting the odds. It's good if both parties can actually tell the other one intelligently that this is how you're making me feel. This is what I thought of what you did, kind of thing. So it's not a bad thing. I'm not at all opposed to that. It's just that this thing that old stuff could come up. So they need to make peace with that. They need to solve those issues, And the thing is as well, once they've had the arguments and everything, it's good, because they kind of like quite amorous towards each other, because it's a passionate sign. And their fourth house is fourth house, and also the seventh house is ruled by Jupiter. The fourth house is Sagittarius. So they have this very wise, very optimistic view of life. Their marriage and their spouse and their home life makes them happy. They find a lot of joy in just being at home, chatting, sharing ideas, traveling together as a family. And they have like their home is almost like a place you could walk into, and it feels like a healing process starts to happen. So, yeah, their home, and they could have a really grand house as well. And yeah, so they could also, because it's also a sign of religion as well, they could, it kind of will be a spiritual process coming, in contact with their home, and it will be that way for them as well, because they will actually naturally just calm down, feel at peace at home, and just feel happy just to be there with their family. Their fifth house is how you intelligently deal with your marriage. It's ruled by Saturn. It's Capricorn, so it's a very much like, it's all about the but it's got to be this way kind of thing. So this is where the downfall comes. Even though Saturn and Mercury are friendly planets towards each other, it could be a little bit kind of it could be like a process of like, it's almost like being in a corporate sort of environment, how you intelligently deal with this. Well, if we do this, then this will look good. But that's not how relationships work. So they really literally have to get off that sort of like career ladder. This is, I know it's Capricorn, I know it's the house of career and how people see us. However, we need to intelligently deal with this, and certain things, and dealing with children doesn't mean that they have to go to every class after school. And this is kind of causing, because we're trying to keep up with the, excuse me, the society of, we have to like have this, and these sort of arguments that can create like, oh, did we take him to the piano class, did he do the martial arts class, and all of those things, because there's quite a lot of, it's not just for the children, just generally speaking, there's so much emphasis on structure and achieving, that they could actually miss the fun bit of like dealing with the family life, married life with the children, and just kind of thinking, what about romance? Where does romance come into this? Why we can't just schedule romance, on like 10 o'clock on a Sunday evening. You just got to just kind of have more time for it. You have to have exchange of ideas, talk about things. So yeah, so they could be a little bit too rigid about that and cold about sort of like the intelligence that goes into making the relationship work. And also within the sort of like, Saturn also rules their sixth house, and obviously sixth house is house of kind of arguments and disagreements and things like that. So it's, again, if you don't deal with the fifth house stuff, then the sixth house stuff can happen, which could be arguments, hurdles, obstacles, debts, and things like that. But they are so intelligent naturally, and that they can sort these things out. They just literally need to take off the corporate hat and actually don't set targets in a relationship, don't set kind of like deadlines, just kind of enjoying, just being nicer to each other and everything, just taking the stress down, because obviously Saturn also creates the stress. And this is a Mercury run ascendant, so they could actually activate those sort of like nervous things as well. And yeah, so you don't want to get ill because you just like, oh, you weren't able to keep up with the what the society wants you, or you feel as the society wants you to have. So that's another thing. But they are very clever, so they can easily take care of any debts, loans, any kind of disease or anything like that, any arguments and obstacles of the relationship as well. They can definitely deal with those sort of things very, very well. And these people can, because also Aquarius is a sign of like people and big groups and everything, they can actually use very sort of natural humanitarian ways, like organic foods, Ayurvedic kind of like applications and things like that will go a long way to heal them as well. So just being close to nature, going for walks together and things, because obviously Mercury also rules green areas, parks, plants, herbs. So yeah, those sort of things will be really good for them. Their seventh house, as I said, and their fourth house, both Pisces and Sagittarius, are ruled um, by Jupiter. So there is, it's really funny because all of the zodiac signs have got this thing going on, this sing and dance thing with their seventh house. And you literally, they are kind of chalk and cheese, really, sort of Jupiter, big picture, and Mercury, small picture and detail. But that's exactly what they need because they're so caught up in you didn't do this properly. You chopped the vegetables this way, and if you would have done it this way, they're so caught up with detail. Everything has got to be just so. And they attract partners who don't give a monkeys about certain things. They are happy-go-lucky. And that's what they need because the Pisceans really need Virgo and Virgo really need Pisceans because these people are rise above everything. They unconditionally love their partner. And because they're so beautiful and emotional and soft and gentle, the practical Virgo gains so much from that. It just makes them happy. They go into this kind of they want these formalities in the relationship, this structure, all these boundaries, but actually the moment they let go, that's why they're happy in the relationship. Their fourth house is a wise or spiritual. Even if they're religious, they still kind of enjoy a lot of wonderful trips together as a family. They literally are open-hearted, optimistic, rose-tinted glass. They literally are beautiful as a couple. They're beautiful because they are so yin and yang, and it works wonderfully together. Then their eighth house of in-laws is Aries. So they have so there might be some contention between some issues between the Virgo Ascendant and the in-laws. They might actually not necessarily see eye together, and there could be debates because they also Mars rules their third house as well. There could be some sort of issues there as well. And Mars could also create problems with the in-laws, the sister-in-law and brother-in-laws and neighbours and things like that as well. But it's nothing major really, because I think when you know these things, you work on them, don't you? So these the in-laws will be quite independent. They will be the sort of people who literally come off one trip, go on to the next. They could be very sporty. They could probably go to sporty events, and they're the sort of people who are quite independent lifestyles, but they're quite sporty, active in-laws. So it's quite nice actually. And then their ninth house is ruled by Taurus, and obviously Taurus ruled by Venus. So you can imagine that they probably they carry forward the family sort of culture that is important to them, because it kind of gives them that security and firm foundations that they need. So they could also, I was just thinking that there could be some agricultural farming sort of thing going on there as well, baking, all that kind of stuff. But nonetheless, though, they're kind of they're higher sort of the culture, the views, and the religion that they have is very important to them. And they probably are the sort of people who you find that generations of their children have been christened or whatever religion it is, in the same church with the same sort of crowd. They've all grown up. The community, they kind of hold on to that community together, which is amazing. And then the world will see them as a couple, as a power couple, because they look as though they're active and adventure loving, and they're very friendly. They're kind of really helpful, generous, and they're also good fun to be around. They're sort of people you could go to picnic with short notice and things like that. So their image on the world is like, oh, you know, they're very intelligent, highly sort of um, active, sociable couple. And they are very attached to their money. Their money makes them happy. Money, their gains, and their liquid assets and their fixed assets are very important to them. And they don't like any sort of like fluctuations in their investments and things. And and then they could be the sort of people who might have a property abroad as well. Just thought of that could happen also. Um, and then obviously the other thing that can happen as well is that they are very careful about their outgoings. Okay, so Virgo Ascendant is not going to just buy anything that they buy. They think about it. They kind of think, is this going to be an investment? Is this going to add to my status as well? So they are a little bit like, they want to get all of that right, you know. So that's how I would see, you know, just a blank Virgo Ascendant in Navamsa. That's how I would see it. And obviously any planets, any conjunctions and the degrees and things like that, they will obviously colour the rest of it. But this is how I see a Virgo Ascendant. Thank you for watching.